واستبيه واستغفره وأؤمن به جل وعلا ولا أكفره وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent Him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. This way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, فَإِنَّ أَصْدَقَ الْحَدِيثِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَأَوْضَاقَ الْأُولَى كَلِمَةُ التَّقْوَى وَخَيْرُ الْمِلَالِ مِلَّةُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَخَيْرُ السُنَنِ سُنَّةُ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم وأشرف الحديث ذكر الله وأحسن القصص هذا القرآن وخير الأمور أوزموها وشر الأمور محدثاتها وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأما علامة دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأعمال ما نفاء وخير الهادي ما أتباع وشير الأمة أما الكافر. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the Book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the community is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. Worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are the ones that yield benefits. Best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. The upper hand is better than the lower. The less which can meet one's needs is better than the more which can cause neglectfulness. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allah yahmuru bil-'adli wal-ihsani wa ita'i dhil-qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal-munkari wal-baghi ya'idhukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice and doing of good and the brotherly to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan will to guide, He opened their breasts to Islam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Oh, you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in a state of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or accepting Islam. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And hold fast all together by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best people ever raised up for mankind because you enjoin the right, you forbid the wrong, and you believe in Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Mocked were many of the messengers before thee, but their scoffers were hemmed in by the thing they mocked at. Say, travel through the earth and see what was the end of those who reject truth. It's a common ayat that we know, traveling in the earth to learn about history, social customs, to learn about patterns of behaviors and tendencies in speech and the culinary arts of people all over the world. Just by traveling, you learn so much that it's unbelievable. It's better than reading books. It's better than watching nature programs and history programs on television. It's better than taking classes on a subject. Just by traveling to Colombia and being there a while, you're going to learn about the customs of Colombia. As simple as that. You're going to start drinking coffee in shot glasses, not big cups like we do. Don't use those. It's real. Colombia is where a lot of coffee come from. There, although they export the best coffee up here, that they drinking coffee is an art down there. They drink it in shot glasses and it's golden looking, not that black looking coffee they have here. So you learn about the culture. You go to Peru, you learn about the Inca Empire. You learn about Pizarro. In fact, all the stuff that we read about in little social studies classes become alive when you travel. Let alone Africa and Asia and the Middle East and all of Europe. So when you travel in the earth, one of the things that you learn is about the rise and fall of civilizations. Because everybody outside of the United States live in a civilization that have ascended to high levels. If you go to Europe, the British Empire. If you go to France, the French Empire, right? And if you go to Russia, you go to anywhere else. If you go to South America, if you go to Mexico, you will find out about Quetzalcoatl, and you will find out about that Mexico City is built on an old lake bed. And when the Spanish came, there was 500,000 people in Mexico City. When Cortez got there, of course they slaughtered several million people. But in that region, they had Mayas and they had other great civilizations that lived there. Peru, Pizarro got there. They found that later on, archaeologists found skulls and they found tools, and the tools had perfectly cut circular operations in the brain of people in the Inca Empire. And they know that the people lived because of the healing, that they was healed. And they found the tools and found out that they were very superior. So traveling in the earth is a great history and a social teaching. So the Quran is giving you some lesson right here. Mark were many messengers before thee, but their scoffers were hemmed in by the things that they mocked at. So travel to the earth and see what was the end of those who reject truth. If we delay the penalty for them for a definite term, they are sure to say, what keeps it back? On the day it actually reaches them, nothing will turn it away from them, and they will be completely encircled by that which they used to mock at. We're here in America. America haven't lost too many fights in the last 70, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Lost in Korea, lost in Vietnam. In fact, they lost everything except they felt like the first Gulf War. They felt that they won that because they was fighting a dummy called Saddam Hussein. And he just put all those big tanks right out there on the highway for them to blow them up. But the things that the U.S. was doing to people some time ago came back to bite them. In Paris, when they were having the peace talks in the 70s, I was there, I went by the Vietnamese embassy. Now the white man is mad about that because he probably thought I was going there to seek training or something, because we went to all the revolutionary places. So, something I didn't know. All I knew was the Vietnamese is wearing out the Americans. And I went in the embassy and the people were this tall. I said, no. I mean, they was just right there. They was 5 feet tall. That was it. I said, boy, they were wearing old Sam out. They had ancient culture. Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, great temples and great religions, right? So the people have been here for thousands of years. In their culture, it's risen and fallen over many cycles in history. We might be able to get to that. So now, one thing we know, the same thing that the rich and powerful make fun of, in many cases in history, is the same thing that brings them down. Now, what this is for, the Quran is not a static book. This is a message for you and I today. Remember last week we dealt with Bani Israel. Allah wanted to be gracious to a people. He wanted to give them leadership, aim. He wanted to give them a stable place in the world. And he wanted to be gracious to them because they had been oppressed. The mustadafin, istadafa, they were weak, like Daif Hadith is weak. In many cases, in most cases, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take the poor and over a period of time, they're on top. The Quran says that you're tried with wealth and poverty. Sometimes Allah take people who was at the bottom, put them on the top. Pretty soon they get recycled. Why? Because they acted a fool too. They got up there and they forgot. You know, they forgot how they was before. I remember vaguely one of our hadith. It was a bald-headed man. It was a, let's see, it was a bald-headed man, it was a blind man, and what was the other guy? He had an affliction.
A leper.
A leper. It's three guys, so. And I'm just trying to recall, this was a while back. But anyway, the angel came to these guys, and the guy that was a leper, he said, well, what would you like? He said, man, I'd like to have smooth skin, everything, you know, where people wouldn't be avoiding me and all that. He said, you got that, and you got a couple of goats, and they filled up, filled up the whole valley with goats or something like that. The other guy that was bald-headed, he said, well, what would you like? Man, I'd like to have long, curly locks, waves for the babe. I just thought that's all I knew. He got that, and they gave him cattle or something. Whole valley full. And the other guy was a blind man. So he said, well, what would you like? He said, I'd like to see. I would like to visualize things as they are physically. So they say, you got that. He gave him a vision. And it gave him 2 or whatever animals, and they reproduced. Pretty soon he got a valley full of sheep or camels, whatever it was. Then a poor guy comes by, he's done in. He goes to the guy that got the long, pretty hair and a whole valley full of other animals, and he say, man, I'm down and out. Can you help me a little bit? So, man, I got a lot of obligations and carrying on. I ain't no shape, you know what I mean? I'd like to help you, but, catch me next month, 5 years from now. I can't help you. He said, don't I recognize you? Wasn't you poor and diseased and you were blessed? I said, no, it wasn't me. I was born rich. I've been having money all my life. So the angel told him, well, if that's not true, may Allah put you back to where you was. So, of course, it was a lie. So, bam, everything disappeared. He was back with his leprosy, right? And everything else. And then he went to the guy with the pretty hair. We just finished the leper, right? So, okay. So now the guy with the wavy waves for the babes and say, hey, man, I'm a poor traveler. I ain't doing no good. Can you give me one of you got a whole valley full just to help me get to the next stop? I ain't no shape, bro. Man, it's bad. I got responsibilities and what have you. So the angel tells him, don't I recognize you? Wasn't you in bad shape before? Bald headed, people laughing at you, couldn't catch no tenders or nothing. No, man, I've been rich all my life. I was born with money. So, well, if that's not true, may Allah put you back to where you was. And Allah put him back because he was lying. He went to the blind man, and he said, I'm a poor traveler on the way. Can you help me with a little assistance? The blind man told him, there's a whole valley full of stuff out there. He was blind. He got good vision now. He said, you can take anything you want and you leave me what you want. You take anything you want. And then Allah doubled or quadrupled what, because this man had learned the lessons of kindness and sharing and what have you. And the other guys forgot how they was before. How many of our friends, we come up in the projects, all of a sudden they got to rolling a little bit, and pretty soon they actually forgot. You know, it was part of our culture when I come up, the so-called gangsters, pimps, and hustlers. You know what we did at night? Snorted cocaine and bragged. Bragged. Sitting up talking all night. Ed Adams, old man. I've been homeless 24 years. Little girl like me, I put my little thing in her and she starts going crazy. Little young nigga with a thing like a Coke bottle. And she don't do nothing to it. She only pretty good with what he do. Of course, when both the feds, I have to drift back a little bit. You know what's funny about it? Do y'all remember the detective movies in the 1940s? Where the guy always had a picture in the safe behind the wall, all them detectives, in every one of them. We used to hang out at Dirty Harry's, and they called him Dirty Harry, right? Because Ed Adams was his connection, and when the Vice Squad kicked the door in at Ed Adams' house, he told him, go up to Ed Adams. That's my connection. He told him, don't stop here. Go on up to Ed Adams' house. That's my connection. And the police went up there, and he went right to the picture and moved it and went right in the safe and got all his dope and money. And it affected him. I mean, he was a semi-healthy person. He was old for me, but he couldn't have been no more than up in his 40s, maybe just getting in the 50s. If that affected him, he died after a while. But we would be up all night and we would be brave. I'm the smartest nigga in the world. I'm pepping holes and slamming Cadillac doors and all that. This is ridiculous. You know, just bragging. And the people looked up to us. But you know what? I used to sit there with all those Negroes, because I read more than they did, and I said, man, if these guys had any sense, if they were born in another environment, they would be captains of industry, because they were very smart. Our hustler class was very smart. In fact, if you wanted to talk about somebody, you said, nigga, you ought to get yourself a job. A job, which everybody wants, right? As a company, if you're a hustler, you work for yourself. You got to depend on your own brain. You get smarter than the people. You go to a job, you got a boss, he tell you what you do. It's like an animal in the zoo and an animal out in the woods. Which one is the sharpest, right? The animal in the zoo. In fact, I'll tell you another story. I'm going to stop early though. The wolf and the dog. I don't know what this has to do with being hemmed in and being brought down by the same things that you made fun of. But what happened was this. You can be hemmed in and recycled in so many ways and under so many different conditions, right? That history will have you expand so much because of your environment. And our people, it was so sharp. after a while, that system would break them down. If you look at little white boys, little black boys, and young white black boy was always sharper and tougher than a little white boy when we come up. But after a while, the society weighs in on the little black fella. By the time he's a grown man, he's a defeatist. That's why last week we talked about the difference between an African and an African American. I'll get back to the point in a minute. An African American is born here under this oppression and picks up the mind, right? And we see all the obstacles that they put in our way. And there are hundreds, thousands. But an African or a Pakistani or anybody else come here, and he look at what's going on here, he said, man, it ain't but 4 or 5 obstacles and we can get around them, it ain't nothing. That's why people that come here, immigrant always is sharper than the local. That's why the immigrants built America, right? Because they come here ready to work. People have been here a few generations, they got lazy, right? But somebody come here, in their country you made $2 a day, and they come here, and you can make, at McDonald's, you can make $80 a day or something. It ain't enough to do no good. It was 10 times as much as they made back home. Isn't that right? Now I get back to staying up all night, snorting blow. The reason I was saying that because we was immigrants. Black people that left the South, visualize, those of you from the South, visualize the South 70 years ago. Just visualize it. Horses, mules, no electricity, no amenities at all, right? You had to pump outside, front, right? And in the back, you had the bathroom. In the summer, that boy is full of flies and a little smell. And a little flood, you know, when it floods, which it always did, because our house is built up on little stilts. And when it flooded, that doo-doo and everything kind of floated up around. And you tried to keep it away from your rain barrel, because a lot of your water came off the roof and went down to your rain barrel. And when you went out there in the winter, it was freezing cold, and you got to take your clothes off, and you got to use the bathroom, and it smelled. That was common. So when we came out here, and you hit that switch, and the light would come on, right? And you could walk outside your house and get on a bus, on a street, not a road. We didn't have no streets. We had old dirt roads. You could see somebody coming 20 miles away. Why? A big plume of dust, wasn't it? You see that big plume of dust from behind them. That's the way we live. When we came, we are immigrants. In America, we were immigrants. When the same, y'all was too. You come from Carolina, and well, Carolina ain't bad as Arkansas and Mississippi, but it's still Dixie. Virginia, right across the 14th Street Bridge, right? I wish I was in Dixie, away, away. You know where the capital of the Confederacy was? An hour and a half drive from here. The capital of the Confederacy is right down the street. Right? So when we came up this way, the songs that y'all probably have heard them songs, you're a little too young. Bright Lights, Big City, went to my baby's head. Y'all don't remember that, do you? Of course, some of you do. The bright lights, electric lights, in the big city ran my baby crazy. A lot of the foreigners, they come here with their wives, they can't read and write, they stay here in America about 2 weeks or a month, and they acting funny, and the brothers, They need counseling. My wife used to be so humble, and she's that's the bright lights, man. The big city. Gone to your baby's head. You know? Anyway. So if we want to talk about somebody, get back to the point, we tell them to get a job. That was like cussing somebody out. Because a job meant you worked for somebody else. A job meant that you weren't that intelligent. The only thing was those people that had jobs 20 years later was living in a house and everything, and the brothers that was out in the street, they had a bad retirement program. When I look at, go back to Oakland, I see all the big Negroes, they're just bad. The ones that's lucky is on SSI. And all my friends would tell me, hey, you getting your SSI? I said, man, I'm not going down there and ask them white folks for you can get your, and they had me go down there and ask for it. They said, sure, we can't give you no SSI because you ain't worked a lot. I said, I worked in 1966. I worked the whole year. So how old are you now? And at the time I was 69. I said, I worked the whole year. I did, 1965 to 1966. What have you been doing since? I said, I'm here. You know. So anyway, so they gave me, what do they call it? When you cripple, not cripple,
Handicap.
disability. They said, you would give you disability. So they gave it to me for a while, then they sold me something. We ain't giving you nothing. I said, keep it then. But our people did not plan ahead, did not think ahead, did not visualize the future. And I hope, changing the subject again, that we live in a life where we visualize the life we want to have. It goes so far, all of you that listen to motivational speakers know that they say, live your dreams. White folks been saying that all the time. Live your dreams, visualize your future, and all of that. You know that stuff is true? You can almost, Allah give you the ability because it says write your book yourself. That's what, and what you're gonna get the book that you wrote on the day of judgment, right? The deeds you do, the life you live, you're gonna do it. Ain't nobody else gonna do it, right? So we have to visualize. I'm gonna get back to where we are now. I say that because we're living the life we wanna live. You say, well, I wouldn't want to do that. White man always doing this, and they always causing that. And people look, they say, boy, Imam Musa, boy, the feds, the FBI, the NSA giving that brother the blues. They're not giving nobody the blues. They're making me happy. You know why? Did y'all see that movie about the little white girl about 5 years ago that was called Divergent? Divergent, the little white girl that was divergent. Now, you know what divergent is, I hope you do. Now, in this society, they had 5 classes of people, probably kind of like this one here. And when you get grown, you get to take a little test, and they put you in a category, you know, of people. So, when they run this little girl through a test, the woman that was giving it, her brother had been a divergent or something like that, and she told, I can't classify you, just tell them this, that, or other. So she got to choose her own little thing. But what it was, she was divergent. And they would give other people tests, normal people. Certain things she wasn't good at all. But all the big stuff, everything that was super hard for other people, She was just, and because she was divergent. She was different than everybody else. I swore I wasn't going to talk personally, but I was talking to my brother. He's a few years older than me. And when I was in California, I told him, we was talking last. Now, I was the youngest and the biggest mess up in the family. I always was going off to jail. Our favorite family song for my mother and father was Waiting for My Child to Come Home. I guess y'all not old enough to remember. Yeah. So I said, remember when we came out here and when I was going to Lockwood, the elementary school, I used to write F-U-C-K on the walls, and I was pulling up little white girls' dress when I was 8 years old. He said, yeah, I definitely remember. I said, at that time, I didn't have no idea what I was doing. It wasn't for sex. But we had just came from the South. And I knew that we was in the West. And if I would have did that in Arkansas, where we came from, at 8 years old, they would have strung me up, right? In 1953, when I'm 8 years old. They would have strung me up. But I knew I was in California. I subconsciously knew it. So all of my life, I was doing the very thing that made the white man the maddest. Because we went to integrated schools out there in California. That was the worst thing you could do for a little nigga, right? In 1953, is pull up a white girl's dress at school. They couldn't hang me. I was in Oakland, California. I didn't know why I was doing it. I had to think about this 5, 10 years ago. Why was I doing that? Because I was divergent. I did it all my life. Everything the white man didn't like, I did it. And it was hard on everybody else if they went through that. It was hard on people in the penitentiary. They put them in the hole, and they did all that stuff. That was hard on people. It wasn't hard on me. You see movies about people coming out of the hole all glary-eyed. I ain't never come out like that. Me and the Negroes, we were so crazy. Come out talking crazy, cussing at the police, sometimes actually fighting the goon squad. They throw you back in the hole, that ain't nothing, because it was divergent. In this Islam, everybody done sold out. When I say everybody, I'm talking about the people we know. Isna, Ikna, all the famous Negroes, right? We had such a wonderful chance to do so much good. You go back 20, 30, 40 years ago, the Islamic movement in North America, that was mainly African American, was rescuing our neighborhood, calling people to Islam, right? And a Muslim stood for something. You never did hear no black woman getting her hair, hijab pulled, or somebody bothering in a black neighborhood, right? Never did. Why? Because we were respected. They respected Islam because Islam stood for progress, stood for the good of the people, right? And everybody knew that. Then the immigrant community, which I love, rolled in here, gaffled up all the good-talking Negroes, right? Put them on the circuit and took all the divergent Negroes, and you don't even know their names. The Negroes that came up with me, and we started the nation and came to, let's call it Sunni Islam, right? Only the Uncle Toms, the ones that them handkerchief-headed, my friends of course, they still handkerchief-headed niggas, boot-licking, tattletale, stool pigeon Negroes, right? That's the only people you see on the circuit right now. Nobody in this Islamic movement in America that got everybody scared. The immigrants are scared, and the Negroes, like they said over at Howard, Sherman Jackson, said, yeah, some of us was there, that we turned over or transformed our inferiority complex to white people, and now we've, some kind of way, transferred it to the immigrant community, right? I'm talking about in Islam. They have, not us. Then the Muslims that each one of us work with have a type of complex. They want to control and they want to manipulate everything you do. If you do what they tell you, they sound like white folks, don't they? If you do what they tell you, they like you, and you get on the circuit. And if they don't like you, don't nobody hear from you. I don't care, look, coming from this masjid, I don't know if y'all paying attention. The forecasting, everything from Arab Spring to Ooga Boogaism happens right here. Every forecast, exactly right. No matter what we tell them, and y'all here at Equan, don't take no power right now. Ain't gonna be no Arab Spring. Y'all remember that? Ain't gonna be none. Who wasn't saying I don't think it's when we say ain't gonna be none. Don't take power. You don't want power now because they're gonna give you power. Equan in Egypt, and Nata in Tunisia. All these people was in exile with us. We all had programs together in Europe and in London. Don't take power. Al-Nada in Tunisia got smart. They said, hey, we don't want it. That was after a couple of years in power. What happened to our brothers? They fell in, they got trapped up, and now they got them in jail, and they didn't kill them by thousands. Why? Because the niggas telling them what not to do. Oh, they came, we over here talking to Obama. That's what they say, remember? And we letting them know that we're not, I say, you're a fool. You're a damn fool. Same thing with our Iranian brothers. They get their goose cooked. They're probably the best diplomats they got. But they still, nobody wants to listen to the Negro, even if they get 6 knots on their head in a row. I'm not going to go through all the forecasting, but what I'm saying is this. During this period now we're going into, this is another chance for us to rescue ourselves and refocus the Islamic movement in North America. This is our hope, this is our dream, this is our vision, and this is our responsibility. Why? Because not only do we can reach everybody in America, right? If we get the right tune. And they say, ain't nobody gonna listen to no nigga. Well, that's the biggest lie you ever heard. The most paid attention to, the most imitated people in America is African Americans, isn't that right? I was watching an old movie the other night. They got all these, Turner brought, they got all these old black movies. This is one, Louis Armstrong, them. And it's about, starts in ragtime, 1917, and it goes on up to about 1940s. And when jazz, and it shows white people doing what? Some of the great concert people loving jazz, imitating jazz, and getting da-da-da-da-da-da, and then y'all have heard of the Big Bopper, Bill Haley, the cop, Rock Around the Clock, and all that stuff. They was copying our people. Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis Presley. All the same thing. They copied our music and do it, the Rolling Stones, everybody. I don't care who you, they copy everything we got, right? And make noise out of it and don't do it too good. And they get to be billionaires. Who's all the jazz? If they have a jazz expert on TV now, who is it? Is it a Negro? No, absolutely not. this Miss Squirty Crawford or Miss Mellon or somebody. Right? Or Mr. Weinberg. I played when I was a little kid once with Louis Armstrong, and he passed his greatness on to me. That's basically what he's saying. Right? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they would put a white person in jail if he'd come up and down the street rapping. 40 years ago, when all the Negroes was rapping. Pretty soon, when I go to South Africa, when I go to Russia, anywhere I go, everybody's rapping. That was 20 years ago. Then you got Vanilla Ice, right? Everybody, right? Music, dress, vocabulary, everything is awesome. That's cool. Because hell, I was cool in 1955, right? Really cool. Everybody, niggas was cool probably in the 40s. What's the name there with the long hair jumping back and forth? Cab Calloway there was cool. Can you imagine? Cab Calloway was cool. Duke Ellington, because Duke Ellington, by that way, was in the movie, Duke Ellington. Cab Calloway, man, the other night. Then they had Cabin in the Sky come on. I ain't gonna tell you Cabin in the Sky, because I know y'all don't remember. Y'all don't remember Cabin in the Sky, do you? I see that's your problem. Lena Horne, y'all don't remember Lena Horne? Sweet Georgia Brown? Good God Almighty. Y'all have missed it. That's not the old Negro culture. If you didn't live it, you missed something. You missed it. You can't get that. That thing was special, uncut, came specially out of the environment and produced the best of everything America has to offer. The best in music, the best in culture. They were talking about Muhammad Ali today, how great he was. White man that wrote a book about him or something. You have to be 10 times, well, 2, 3, 4, 5 times as good as anybody just to get on the show. Dear believer, do you know when the black man won? I'm going to get back to him then about the very things they made fun of, but they always made fun of us. And guess what? They always copied our culture, copied our language, copied our walk, copied our style. Copy, copy, copy. Don't never let nobody tell you nobody likes the Negro. Everywhere I go, when I live in Colombia, all the kids follow me. Even Pakistan, you know what they do? They thought I was a cricket player. All the kids in Pakistan, hey, I said, you're a cricket, because the guys in the islands, you know, like Caribbean, all under the British Empire, the Negroes play cricket. I'm in Pakistan and they chasing me down. You're a cricket player. I said, I got a cricket. I said, no, we play baseball. I'm an American. And when I was in Islamabad, you know, we lived just a little outside of town. And just a little bit out of town is like the countryside. So there was a masjid right up the street, up the road. So since I was traveling, I would go there 3 times a day because I was shortening my prayers. Finally, Jum'ah came, and I was there. And I mean, I could pick up 3 or 4 words, you know, but it's Jum'ah, I could pick up, you know. So finally, they look at me. Now I'm making salah 3 times a day, shortening, doing all the perfect fit. Are you a Muslim? Yeah, they got a guy that wanted to speak English good. I said, yes, I'm a Muslim. So I'm going to have a good time. I said, watch this. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, alhamdulillah. You know al-Faqih? I said, yeah, I know al-Faqih. Man, look at here. You're a Muslim? I said, I told you. I said, isn't this Yom al-Jum'ah? Didn't the Imam just stand up there and holler all and making all that noise? What do you think I'm here for? They were so happy they couldn't believe it. You're from Sudan. I'm not from Sudan. I'm from America. The people were so happy. They just didn't believe it. Don't say that people don't like you. We just have to use. Can I just go back one more time? A long time ago, when I was in Pakistan. Now, you know, this is actually Ramadan. So we're going from Lahore up to Peshawar. Peshawar is on the Afghan border. And the brothers, when you ride on the bus, it's going to be a religious crew. Half the people ain't going to be doing no, this is Ramadan too. So we fasting. And then they got these little, every little stop have a little circle, and it has a little kibla, and it has some straw hats, tupis, and you just stop and pray, because in Pakistan, you know, Hanafis, if you don't have your tupi on, or your kufi, you know, the shaitan is urinating on it. So anyway, so we stop. Anyway, we go up, it's fine, and oh man, before we come back, we're hanging out there with everybody from Afghanistan. On the way back, there's a lot of drugs that got across the border. So, going up, you don't have no stops. On the way back, they stop the bus every 10 feet almost. So, every time they stop the bus, the police come back and look at me. Let's see stuff. And they hassle me. They would do it every time. The next time we came to a stop, the people was waiting. Everybody on the bus. The police strolled right on back. He stopped at me. And as soon as he went to say something, the bus erupted. This is our brother from America. He's a Muslim. He came here because I went up to Peshawar to meet Muslims. You know, Jum'ah Islamis have a place up there, so they say, go and visit our brother in Peshawar, or da. So the people was paying attention. They knew I was a Muslim. And the police, when they saw me, they just said, "Nigga," right? Don't care what language is still a nigga. No, black people have it bad, but you know, who's doing all the sweeping everywhere? The little darkies. Do you, when a Pakistani want to get married, he want to marry the lightest girl he can. Just like niggas do. Iranians do it everywhere. Pakistanis got high yellow stuff worse than me and you. They got, you think we the only people use bleaching cream to lighten up a nigga's skin. Everybody's got it. Iranians, they want the hazel-eyed, Turkish-looking girl from up in Tabriz looking. Everybody want light folks. And the little darkies, you may not believe it. East Pakistan and West Pakistan. You know, they talk, it was a big war in 71 when they separated and one became Bangladesh. Do you know under that is the little short, stubby-nosed Bengalis? We were taller, a little lighter and fresher. West Pakistanis, all racism everywhere. That is what they tell me, So now let's get back to Islam. Thought I'd forgot, didn't you? Well, I'm telling you, and we ain't gonna be here long. If we delay the penalty for them for a definite term, they are sure to say what keeps it back. On that day, it actually reaches them, nothing will turn it away from them, and they will be completely encircled by that which they used to mock at. Don't worry about being mocked at. Don't worry about being made fun of. Because this lowers is actually healthy for you, in a way. One of the ways that we got as far as we have is because at first they lowered the threshold for us. They said, what are they just talking? Niggas don't know nothing. This is the feds. They don't do that now. But at first, niggas just be talking. The niggas is lucky. They don't know nothing. Then I started rolling in on them time after time. I said, well, see, you don't know the history of China and Korea, and, you know, and Japan. And if they keep messing with it, then the newspaper show China and Japan is working out. Strategic alliance, Russia, but more important, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Russia. Right? That's called a strategic alliance. And when you overseas, you'll see that Iran and Pakistan and Afghanistan get along very well. You know why? They're very similar cultures. They're very similar cultures. Urdu, the language of Pakistan, comes from the soldiers. They spoke a little Turkish, a little Hindi, right? A little bit of Arabic, and they come up with a language called Urdu. Where do you find Urdu at? It's in Pakistan, but that's a made-up language. Urdu is made up. It's not Hindi, it's not none of those languages. It's a mixture of languages. Those cultures have some blending. So we was telling the white man, yeah, you better watch out. Because Uthmaniyya, the Mughal Empire, right? And all of them gonna get together. So the Mughal Empire was India, right? Uthmaniyya was Turkey. The Safavid was Iran, Shia dynasty. Have you noticed that all the people are finding a reason to ease back together? You know why? Because the U.S. is a damn fool, making everybody be friends. Making everybody be friends. You can't back no Kurds in that part of the world because the Turks gonna be burning up. They see red when you say Kurds, right? Then Iran and Iraq and Syria got a minority of Kurds too, right? So they don't want y'all messing with our Kurds. And the dumb U.S., their best ally, Turkey, right? The U.S. supports the Kurds from Turkey that's fighting against Turkey. The very thing that they don't want to happen, they produce it. Everything that's happening in Europe, bad, all the immigrants, right? We don't want no more immigrants. But where they come from? They come from Syria. And they come from other war-torn areas in the Middle East. And they go where? To Libya. Right? When Gaddafi was in Libya, they couldn't go there, and there was no reason for people, right, from Africa and that other, because in northern Africa, like in Chad, Libya, they used to call Gaddafi the king of Africa. He was giving them money, helping everybody out, right? They killed Gaddafi. They destroyed Libya and its stability, and now everybody comes to Libya from the Middle East, especially the war that they're supporting. They're supporting the war against Syria. So millions of people are rushing to Germany, rushing to Greece, right? Changing the whole demographics of Europe. Muslims by the millions are now flooding in. They're enhancing the population of Turks in Germany, right? They're enhancing the population of Muslims from Arab countries in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all that. In English-speaking Europe, in Scandinavia, they created a problem. That's why the Quran says, you will be hemmed in by the very thing you mock at, you make fun of. That means you will produce your own downfall. That's basically what it's saying. And now, is it time for us to move? Why? Is it time for us to hold on close to this Islam, to develop? It's time to invite the American people to Islam. They want it because the Americans have prepared them for it. When you talk about Islam, to make Islam, well, if you tell your kid, don't play with that kid up the street, it's a bad kid, what are they going to do? Go out the back window and go up and play with that kid, right? When I came home from the penitentiary in '65, you know how things was then. It was white kids from Berkeley and all of that, San Francisco, flooding the black neighborhood. When I left, it was, I left in '62, that was like 500 years before. So I asked the white girl, I said, what are y'all doing here in Netherlands? I'm doing everything my mom told me not to do. Isn't that what people do? Tell the truth. Don't play none of that nigger music in this house. What's nigger music? Yeah, they got to find out what nigger music is. You know, I traveled back and forth across the country. I remember I was in Kansas City, I stopped to wash my car. And all the white kids was there. This is 20 years ago, because we was over on 8th Street. All they was listening to, all the nigger music, the white kids buy it. And they always have. They set Islam up for a big win. Why? Two things. Get the Negro back to Islam and pop there, and all the white folks gonna beat the door down. I gotta be a Muslim, man. I gotta get me one of them things. The niggas got them, so they got to be all right. Isn't that right? They did everything we do. They do everything. They don't have a culture, do they? Tell the truth. They don't have a language. They don't have nothing. They dead on the doornail. They sit back and watch you in music, in language, in dancing. And then I thought, watching TV, I thought white people could dance now because it's still on TV. But my daughter going up to the college in Boston, she said, Dad, we went to a joint, them white kids still club-footed. We look on TV and those are trained white folks. White folks still need niggas. They need you, right? What do they do if they tell the truth now? In music and culture and language and everything else. Right? Now me and you, we want a yellow girl, a light nigga, right? But white girls don't want no yellow nigga. What does she want? The blackest tar baby. So you stroll in there with your little yellow stuff going on, and then you walk in there. I want to talk to the nigga there, no, well, they both niggas. No, they ain't that dark nigga there. Look at that nigga there. Well, look, this one got curly hair. Hell, I got straight hair. My uncle got curly hair. I want that nap-headed nigga. Isn't that the culture? Tell the truth, that's the way people are. Now let's get back to Islam. All we got to do, the people ain't gonna follow no immigrant Islam, they gonna follow nigga Islam. And you done turned it over to them, and the white folks is trying to be white, aren't they? I mean, the immigrants is trying to be white, right? We're like you. You ever hear them on TV? Well, we're like you. We're saying, we ain't like y'all. I'm not like y'all. We like you. You're nice people. But I ain't y'all as white folks. But now you accept Islam. We all in the big ummah. You mean I can be in the ummah? Yeah. You better think I'm lying. Ask your brothers. Didn't I get a letter from John Walker Lynn? Y'all don't remember John Walker Lynn, do you? I got a letter from her right there. Find out who he is. And everybody, and all other white folks. Hey man, we have to get back to our Islam. We have to feel proud of our Islam. We have to live it and invite, don't be ashamed to invite America to Islam. The immigrant is happy to be here. He wants to be an American. Right? Right? You don't want to be no American. Why? Because you got American knots all over your head, don't you? Tell the truth. You got America not here, and America not here. And democracy. Everybody raise their hand that has had some democracy. Raise your hand. Democracy? And y'all had no Negroes in democracy? I thought you had with your hand up. No democracy. Right? You don't know what it is. It's a word. It sounds George Washington and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to close in a minute. This is from, y'all see the movie, not the movie, but the play Hamilton? Hamilton. Y'all ain't seen Hamilton? Y'all ain't heard of Hamilton? You know the play, the Puerto Rican wrote it. Everybody in the play is about the revolution. Everybody is black. In the whole play, Puerto Rican, except King George. They play him white. But there's two songs in there. One, I ain't gonna blow my shot. That means when the historical and social, political environment sometimes produces just the right environment for a people, a culture, and what have you. And for them, he was saying, I ain't gonna blow my shot. This is it. Right? We blew our shot the last go round, but it's come back again, recycled. And the last one was rise up. So not a revolution, but it's an evolutionary process. For America to transform itself to a sane society, to a humane society, it has to be Islamic. They don't have anything to do that. Right? The Constitution, who is you? 35th of a person. Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do the police, when you're driving down the street, say, oh yeah, you got a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or do he pull you over, nigga, let's see what you got? Is he following the Constitution? Of course not. You don't have no probable cause, but you have a deformity, this right here. Right? So you can do anything you want. The feds, technically, right now, they can do anything they want. They done arrested me in Oakland. This is talking about the doggone, who is it, the people with the helmets? And I come out of the Masjid in Oakland and the little light, red light is on. And there's the SWAT team arresting me in Masjid al-Islam, and I have a deed to the property in my hand. And they can do that. Care, don't care. Isla don't care. Nobody cares, right? If we want to make our lives better, we have to do it. It's the same rule for all people. You have to do it yourself, and you have to do it with the idea of, like the Quran says, who is better than speech than one who calls men to Allah with righteous deeds and said, I am a Muslim. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. That's our mission. And I don't have to go over this anymore. It says all the ayats I'm reading say the same thing. But the evil results of their deeds overtook them, and very wrath which they had scoffed at hemmed them in. Mocked were many of the messengers before thee, but their scoffers were hemmed in by the things they mocked at. That's all these ayats dealing with that subject. Don't worry about how people feel about you. Amalu salihat. Calling people to Allah, working righteous deeds, saying, I'm a Muslim. I'm happy to be a Muslim. I'm not afraid to say I'm a Muslim. I'm not afraid of y'all. I don't want no trouble. But I ain't scared of you. Something you're talking about, and you ain't going to do nothing to nobody. This is the thing that the immigrant Muslims don't know about America. You don't never give no hint to no American that you're scared of it, right? This is probably the same all over the world. It's the holy boss, man. I ain't into that. I'll close with this over Dar Hijra. I've told y'all 1,000 times. My grandson was over there hanging out with the brothers, and all the young boys, they was running around somewhere. So the little immigrant said, the kid said, hey, those are our bikes. The Latinos had taken all the Muslims' bikes. So my son by himself, as when he was 15, he went over there, snatched them bikes, and kind of worked them over a little bit. You know what they said? Some of the guy carries a gun over there, he's a security. He says, your grandson is very brave. I said, what did he do? I said, hell, that ain't brave, that's normal. You don't let nobody take your bikes. Y'all over here in Northern Virginia letting people take your, hey man, and you're a Muslim. When people see a Muslim, they think something serious going on. Y'all wallowing around, there ain't no shape. When something happens, they think a Muslim gonna tie that hijab down and start fighting, right? If you start crying, they're gonna say, what's that Muslim crying for? Right? We got a reputation to hold up to, right? That's what people think. They don't think Muslims are sissies and cowards and afraid. You don't look for trouble, but you tell them, man, hold it, Mr. America. No, ain't none of that. You ain't taking nothing here, right? And he'll be your friend. But if he find out he can push you around, he's an American, and that's what he's going to do. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and ignorance. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is beside thee. Ameen.